Hi Rabia, can you hear me? If you hear me, please say hello or something so I know that you can hear me. Okay, brilliant. I just went to wear my jacket because I wanted to make sure that I'm not feeling cold. It's not cold, it's very hot, but it's just the AC is on full speed right now. Okay, assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming back for another um, podcast. Today we're talking about something that we have already spoken about. We spoke about leadership, but we didn't talk about how it needs to change. We spoke about leadership that makes an impact, leadership that transforms, and those were the examples. We invited a guest who could share her examples, how she has been helping out her team members to give their best because of her leadership. But today we're going to take a different angle to it. We are talking about how we should change our style of leadership, or what are the changes, fundamental changes that need to be there in the leadership. For those who are very new, this time joining us, welcome to Unboxed with SG, the space where we stop playing safe and we rip the box wide open and challenge the rules that never worked in the first place. Today, I'm not here to flatter leadership. I'm here to confront it, to shake it, to reset it. Because let's be honest, the leadership that brought us here is not the leadership that will take us forward. And I hope that you agree. Leadership used to mean corner offices, long titles, and polished speeches. Now, leadership is about resilience in chaos, clarity in confusion, and courage when silence feels easier. But here's the truth, no one wants to say out loud too many leaders today are exhausted actors, stuck performing outdated roles while their people suffocate under the weight of uncertainty. It is time to call it out. It is time to break it open. It is time for a leadership reset. And to do this, I'm joined by someone who doesn't just speak about leadership, he rebuilds it. A certified professional coach, international speaker, and TEDx thought leader. Ladies and gentlemen, meet John Berry. Hi, John. Welcome to Unboxed. Your work has transformed leaders across the world, and today we are here to unbox the uncomfortable, reset what's broken, and reimagine what true leadership must look like. How are you doing, John?
Good, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm very happy for the invitation. Can't wait for the discussion.
Thank you so much. To all our viewers, I wanted to tell John's camera broke down last minute, so there is a technical glitch, but you will be able to hear him. And if you can hear him, could you just confirm on the screen so I can see? Um, and then we can start talking. Okay. Okay, looks like everything is fine. Right, thank you so much for waiting, John. Let's start. I have my very first question is about the breaking point. Leadership as we know it is crumbling. What's the single most dangerous myth about leadership that today's leaders still cling to? And why is it killing their organizations?
I think the number one thing, as we all know it, is that most leaders think that they've got to have all the answers, or they think they do have all the answers. And what's destroying the teams right now is when you think you have all the answers, your team's going to stop contributing ideas. They're not going to be engaged, and they're not going to put their trust in whoever's in charge. And that's why then trust starts to erode. When you pretend to know everything, it's always going to backfire on you. After a while, a leader who tries to take on everything himself, thinking that they have all the answers, you're going to find somebody who has isolated themselves. And when you do that, you're exhausted because you're not relying on your team. You're qualified team members that can help bring you through everything. Not only that, and I don't think anybody wants to be a part of this, if you are in an organization that is built on one person's vision, one person's ideas, that company will never survive change in whatever industry you're in.
That is so true. That is so true.
And I just think right now is the future of leadership. It's about knowing. It's about unlocking the potential of our team, giving them the trust, giving them that safe space that they feel that they can go and share their ideas. And those are the people, because what you want to do is you're trying to bring out the new leaders of tomorrow. And without showing them that the basics, trust, courtesy, respect, these are the people that are going to be the first ones, your best people that are going to want to leave.
That is so true. And that is sad though, because those are the people that you could trust and you just let them go because of the way of leadership. That brings me to human equation, John. We live in an era of AI, data, and constant disruption. Yet you say leadership must be more human than ever. What does leading with humanity really mean in practice?
It's funny you say that because, like everybody else, I have tried my hand at AI to see what it's like because I know so many people rely on it for they're using it to write an ad campaign or they're using it to write a paper. And when I look at it and I've sat down and tried to use it, and yes, you could probably sit in there and say, okay, put some feeling into this when you write out this paper for me.
Yes.
But you're taking out, as you said, the human factor, the human element is, and I sat here when I listened to what you said, and when you're thinking about, communicating with the people, like you've seen my reels, and I don't want to just get up there and talk.
Correct.
I want to talk from my heart. I want to talk about what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And when you pair honesty with humanity, truth without empathy feels like, an attack. Empathy without truth feels like you're avoiding it. And this is where we build trust.
That is so true, John. And I have to tell my viewers here, John Berry is already on LinkedIn, everyone, and he has his LinkedIn account where he posts these beautiful videos, so inspirational. Every single video is asking you to think about how the leadership should be. I think you should not miss those videos. Those are like very quick reels, and they're always coming. You will see that he's always coming with a question. There's always something to think about. There's always something to take away with you and transform your leadership immediately. There's nothing that is complicated. There's nothing that is going to take too long. And now, when we are saying that something that you can take away from his reels, something that you can always learn, something that you can fix immediately, it brings me to the word the reset, which is the main theme of our podcast today. So the reset, if every leader listening had to wipe the slate clean, John, forget every handbook and start over, what is the very first principle of modern leadership they must build on?
Me myself, the first thing I think of is trust. I want to be able to trust the leader that I have, the person that I can go to with having that safe space that I can feel that I can talk about my ideas, how I can be creative, how I can be innovative in my position. And if I don't have that trust, a lot of this stuff is going to, I think, really going to revolve around when you don't have a lot of these things. It's going to be it's where you start to look for how to get out of this job.
Right.
And trust unlocks everything. And without trust, there's no amount of strategy or vision or somebody with technical expertise that's even going to stay. People don't follow a plan. They follow a leader,
Correct.
A good leader, one that's
so
in
true.
charge.
So true.
And if I can give you a quick example, years ago, I don't want to tell you my age. Years ago,
we'll guess anyway.
Yeah, really. When I was 17, my first job, I started in the supermarket industry. I'm originally from New York State, and I was there for 18 and a half years. And I held various positions in different parts of the company. There was one gentleman that I worked with in particular who was probably one of the best people persons that I've ever met. And he was so successful wherever he went, not just because customers trusted him, but the people that worked for him trusted him. And he brought that out every day. The pressure that he was under was constant every day. He's got to be at top of his game. But people always felt that they could go to him. And I remember being at one location that he was at in particular, and his assistant looked at him and started laughing and said, "You hired all your friends." And this gentleman turned and looked at him and he said, "Do you know why? I hired the people that I know that whatever I go to them with, they'll get it done." And he was able to do that because he earned their trust over the years. And when you earn that trust, you're going to have people that are going to be engaged. They are going to outperform the next person over from them who doesn't have a leader like this. And those are the kind of people that you want in charge.
Correct. Thank you, John, for sharing this beautiful example. All the viewers, please, one more time, I'm reminding you that when you come join us for these podcasts, there's an opportunity for you to connect with, these speakers, these people who are bringing wealth of wisdom and knowledge. I would always ask you and encourage you to please ask questions. And today's session, I remind you again, if you just joined, it is about the leadership reset. And here we're talking about how to bring the most genuine style of leadership that is actually required for the change that is happening all around us, okay? And we were just talking about the trust factor as the main principle of reset. Resetting your leadership. If you are a leader in a school, this is a good point for you, and maybe you have already experienced it, everyone. I think I would like to hear some examples from the viewers as well. If you could type, I would be very happy to read. If you had a leader, or if you are that kind of leader where people are acknowledging the kind of trust you have established among the team and between you and your team as well. So let's talk about that. So do not just sit and wait till the end, till the last minute of the podcast, because then usually we're running out of time and the speakers are not able to answer all your questions. So it would be better if you start asking now and keep typing. I'll pick the questions as soon as I look at them. Now I'll just go to another question here. Most leaders today choose comfort, avoiding hard conversations, protecting their image. How can leaders find the courage to face uncomfortable truths without losing the trust? Because we were just talking about the trust in the last answer. So how can they choose this? How can they become those leaders to choose courage and to face uncomfortable truths without losing the truth of their team?
I think they're losing the trust. The ones that are is because they're not showing their vulnerable side. I don't care what kind of position somebody's in. If you're a team leader or a leader or an executive itself, sit down with your team, not across from them, sit with them and ask them basic questions. I mean, we all look at this like, oh my God, this has to be so difficult. But it's not. If you're sitting across from people and asking them, hey, what we're doing, how's this going to impact other people? How is it impacting you? Tell me what's going on with you. You seem to be bothered by something. And obviously those are a lot of one-on-ones because everybody isn't going to want to share their story. But if you're a leader and you're able to sit down with your team and be able to tell them what's going on with you, and like I say, you don't have to empty the vault and tell them everything that's going on in your life, but tell them about the difficulties that you're going through.
Correct. And
hear from them and say, hey, and look at them and say, hey, do you have an idea that helped get us through this? You know, hard conversations are not about your image. It's about protecting the integrity of the team.
Correct.
And I think that's what we're looking for. And when leaders are seen as telling the truth, I'm going to go back to some previous comments. These are the people that are going to feel more rewarded on the job. They're going to feel like they made more of an impact. And, you know, when we all go home at the end of the day, I want to go home. Yeah, we all want a paycheck. But when you go home at the end of the day, what difference did I make today? Was I able to help at least one person? And when you're not, and as a leader, if you don't have the courage to be able to tell the truth, the hard truths, whether it's not about yourself, or be able to sit down with somebody and say, hey, you might be underperforming in a certain area. What can I do to make this easier? Tell me what's going on. Making somebody accountable doesn't mean you have to go in there and beat them up. And I've seen that so many times over the years with some leaders. It's like, hey, you know, there is an old expression in regards to, you know, you get more from people with honey than you do with other things. And that's what's going to bring out, you know, the best out of people. Absolutely. Because it could be it could be something in their personal life, but it also could be something in their professional life. What can I help you with right now? But avoiding those hard truths, it's going to show, and it's going to crack in that person's, what's the term I want to use here, is it's almost like a person's facade. They're not being themselves.
True. So true. I'm just going to say welcome to Abdurrahman Azmat. I see you, Abdurrahman. Thank you so much for joining us. I am going to remind everybody, because I see people are still joining in, that today we're talking about the leadership reset, how we can restart, how we can reshape the leadership that is required in these days, in today's time. And why is the time considered difficult? If there is anything that is bothering you, or if there is anything that is triggering something in your mind, bring it forward. Do not just go away with the same question. I think this would be a great forum to talk about that question. In the meantime, I am very curious about one thing, John. We are always talking about profits. Whenever we are talking about, leadership, we always think that a successful leader is somebody who is looking at profits, or who's looking at bringing money to the company, which is a fact. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, because obviously you got to go and pay salaries and you have to run the business. So yes, that is so true. But if leaders stop measuring success by profit margins and instead by their legacy, what would change in boardrooms, classrooms, and even living rooms tomorrow?
For boardrooms, as you just said, a lot of people are, well, they are. And as you said, that's their job. They want to do well. They have to look at profit margins, where they're losing money. But decisions that can be made in line with longevity and not just quarterly. And CEOs and executives can prioritize sustainability, social impact. And people over short term, and you have to worry about your shareholders and their returns. You can also have a shift in leadership culture. Leaders will probably be more likely to engage in having courageous conversations.
Correct.
Investing in trust, and we talked about it before, is psychological safety. Having the people that work for you being able to feel that they're in a safe space, being able to come to you to say, hey, look, I've got a problem here, and this is how it's affecting myself, or which it eventually could affect your bottom line. In classrooms, hold on, I got this one. Okay, in classrooms, we're teaching people about employment. We're teaching younger people how to do resumes. And how about teaching them things like critical thinking and emotional intelligence? One of the things that I always try and talk about in my coaching are the 5 core components of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Emotional intelligence, I think, is where the most successful leaders lie. And they're able to take their companies to new heights because using emotional intelligence, EI, EQ, whatever you want to call it, it's showing that you're human. And I feel like a lot of leaders today don't want to show that they are human. It's okay to make that mistake. Just because you're sitting at the top with a big name on the door, that does not mean that you are not infallible. And we have to teach students, empower them that you are the future change makers. You are the people that we are going to be relying on. So it is so important to make sure they are well prepared, well equipped for the challenges that they're going to face. And as far as the living rooms, that's a good one. I can still remember my mom, when I was going on my first job, and she would talk to me, it always isn't about salary. It's also about the benefits. And her whole thing was, what's going to make it last for you in the future? And so that was her whole thing. But, as you get older and you're in the workforce yourself, one of the things you start thinking about, like myself now, how am I making a difference? How am I making an impact? And these are the conversations I think that families should be having with their kids today. Finding out, hey, what is your interest? Sitting down and having a conversation with your kids. My oldest, my 20-year-old, did really well, graduated in high school with high honors, but he wanted to go out into the workforce first. And I thought, okay, well, if that's what he wants to do, I'm not going to stop him. And he's talented in so many other areas where he goes, I can't sit behind a desk. I have to be out doing stuff. And I got it and I understood it. But he's also realizing now his value of an education. And I tell him all the time, I go, you scare me a lot. And he laughed and he goes, why? And I go, because you are me at that age. I wanted to go out and find out what was going on out there before I was ready to commit to school. And I really wish my parents had those conversations with me. And they didn't. And as you said, it is a great question, that this is where we bring, I think, a shift in our values, what families are teaching their kids at home. And I think more conversations should happen in regards to integrity and kindness and being in service of others. I don't see a lot of that done all the time.
No, that's exactly what I was just about to say, that I'm an educator, and I've been in the field of education for last 25 to 26 years. And this is what I've seen when I was working as a teacher and when I was a new principal. I saw parents were more involved and they were having these conversations more frequently with their children. But now I see it's completely different. Everybody is on their phone. And listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not against technology at all. I'm actually a big fan of technology and I use everything that is in the market, to be honest. However, well, my point is that it's cutting ties. Parents are not talking to children. People are not talking to each other. Friends are not talking to each other. The conversations on phone are actually healthier and better than the conversations that they actually sit together, face to face and then have. So that is scary, to be honest. So bringing that back and conscious leadership and thought leadership and responsible leadership, that is encouraging for that kind of conversation. If it, no matter it is in the boardroom, it doesn't matter if it is happening in the classroom, but the teachers, the educators, the parents, the community, everybody, they need to be encouraged to have these conversations, because otherwise we will not know how to actually interact when people come face to face. I think that's where we are heading right now. What do you say,
It's funny
John?
you're saying. It's funny you're saying that because uh, my oldest daughter, she's 28, and I remember when she was going into her freshman year in high school, and her first assignment in English class, the teacher just wanted them to write one paragraph of, just tell me about yourself. And I said to her, okay, that's an easy one. And I said, well, why are you? And she started smiling. I go, why? What was the big deal? And she said, the teacher's whole point of just having them do that simple assignment is so many kids were communicating about just like they do on the phone with all the abbreviations, and some kids caught themselves doing that when they were doing their paper for the teacher. And when you were talking about all this, I was standing here smiling, and all it reminded me of was, hey, we all grew up at different times. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and I didn't grow up in a time where there were cell phones.
Correct. Me neither.
So
we probably are age fellows.
So one of the things that it still makes me laugh periodically, I'll see somebody put a little meme on Facebook. It's the same picture. It's two of them. There's one picture of 4 or 5 kids, and you can tell that it's from the 70s. And they're on bicycles. And they're all standing there, and they're all smiling and laughing. The next picture next to it is about 5 or 6 kids all standing there with their cell phones, nobody looking at each other, nobody talking to each other. And I keep thinking, is this who we really are now?
Correct.
Like people are next to us, or they're bringing their cell phone to the dinner table.
True.
And they're sending the person a text.
True. Absolutely.
It's like, hey, have a conversation.
Now, see, this is taking me back to our reset conversation, John. If people, new generation, that is going to take the leadership role tomorrow, and if they are not skilled in, how should I say the word? That's a very common word these days. They're using peopling. So if they're not smart in peopling, if they're not skilled in people skills, then how are they going to be very good leaders? Because empathy was the first thing that the leader could offer, and then was the wisdom, because wisdom doesn't come, you don't get wisdom when you are just only YouTubing or looking at videos online and stuff like that. I think wisdom comes when it is, you could be intelligent, but wisdom is a product of experience. So if there is no experience, there is no wisdom. Yes, you can be highly intelligent and you could be a very productive person with whatever information has been given to you. You're absorbing it and you're reproducing it. That could be your skill. And highly intelligent people do that all the time. They listen to something good and they adapt it, and then they go and reproduce it. And that's how you frame them as intelligent people, because they know how to contextualize something that they have learned on internet or by the books. But wisdom is a product of experience. And if there is no experience with your social skills, with your interpersonal skills, with getting you into problems and making decisions that failed, decisions that were successful, if that is not happening around you and not in your life, then it's very hard to become a leader that is responsible for so many other lives. This is my take on it. Um, and I'm sure that people will agree to this. John, I have another question for you. For the leader listening who feels lost, exhausted, maybe even irrelevant, what's the one step they can take today to reset themselves and lead with power but not pretense?
I think not just a leader, but I think this is something that
Everyone.
we all need.
Yes.
That we all need to do is, and it is something simple, is take 10 or 15 minutes, start it today, and get away from everything. Get away from the screens that are in front of us. Just get away from the noise and just start noticing things. How am I feeling right now? If I can't make sure that I'm okay, that I'm protected, I'm protecting myself, how am I expected to go out and lead others? If I can't do that for me, I can't do that for you. And that makes it really hard for everybody. Awareness and not worry about your performance, resetting yourself, as you were saying. The term that everybody uses all the time right now is about being authentic. So your authentic leadership, it doesn't come from forcing energy. It actually comes from realignment.
True. And as you said earlier, this is not just for the leaders, it's for everyone. Everyone needs to have that reset time. And I'm worried about the leadership because the generation this new generation is already talking about being hollow and not feeling it and not getting the real essence of life. And we're seeing so many people who are and stress and anxiety, and that's what new generation, I'm thinking after around 15 to 20 years, they will be the ones leading different departments, different fields of lives, and different businesses, different important aspects of government. So what's going to happen then if this at a very young age they're not resetting themselves and they don't know how to do that? The simplest way of resetting was, as I remember from my childhood and teenage, was to actually sit in a corner, read a book, and then go sleep, and then wake up fresh with all that learning still buzzing in your mind, thinking, okay, how can I use it now because I've learned it, I've read this book. Or when the cell phones use started, I remember still keeping my phone at night in my drawer, not just on the top of the dresser, but actually inside the drawer, because I was always worried that I'll be tempted, when you twist around and you want to just quickly look at your phone. That's the kind of addiction people are dealing with right now. Sometimes they sleep more, still scrolling, adding to anxiety, that is adding to depression, because there is so much that we're exposed to and we're looking at that is not helping, especially with the aspiring leaders, the ones who are thinking of becoming leaders tomorrow. It's very important that they actually take a break from everything and they give their brain some quiet time, not to even it doesn't happen when so many things are happening around you. Much for such a beautiful conversation today. Every answer that I had from you was straight from the heart, I could tell, and I'm sure the viewers will be able to tell. And I will remind all the viewers again that John is on LinkedIn and he's always sharing those amazing short video clips with leadership style. So you shouldn't miss it at those videos. I already have tagged him in my post on my LinkedIn, but if after this video, again, I will do this video recording will be available on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on my two TikTok channels. See, I have learned. I did not know that with multiple channels at the same time and increasing the number of channels. So if people are more tuned into some other channel like TikTok, or maybe they can go there and watch it with ease. So I will tag. Please go visit his profile, watch his videos, because there is wealth of knowledge and wisdom hidden in those reels, which is a skill in it. People cannot do this. They start talking and then they don't know how to wrap up. Like I'm facing that problem right now. So thank you so much, John. Is there anything you want to say to people who are listening to you? Any advice? Oh my God, you are on camera. Sorry, I didn't notice. Let me just make sure everybody sees you. Wait. Okay. Finally, it's working. And here he is.
Thank you so much for having me today. I really do appreciate it. I've been enjoying our quick little responses to each other on LinkedIn. One of the things that you just said a few minutes ago, and do I have any fears? Yeah, about for younger people today or future leaders. And when you talked about the whole technology factor, I literally start with my cell phone. I literally take my cell phone, I plug it in another room at night because I don't want to be tempted.
Correct.
And I have a colleague, we talked about, how do we get to more people and how do we get them to show up more for meetings? Because just in today's culture, how people are, if they can't look at it on their phone, their laptop, their iPad, they don't want to go in person. So unless it affects them personally, you've got to find the subject matter that's going to get them aligned, to get them to participate. As much as, we can, and hey, technology's great. It has its place. But, you mentioned in regards to people who are suffering from depression. And a lot of that does stem from technology. There's enough studies in regards to that too. So as much as we rely on it, please do not speak from your heart.
Absolutely.
If you're the leader, tell them, because that's where you're going to get your followers from. And as I said before, they're not following your plan. They're following you. True. They look at you that you are someone who's going to be upfront and honest with them and be a person of integrity. That's where you're going to gain all your trust and support. One last I took over his facility, and my first day with these people was his last. And he didn't know how to address the subject matter with them. And he and I went outside to talk, and he looked at me, he goes, "What do you think?" And I thought to myself, you're the attorney. You're the one who should be telling me the answers. And I said to him, the hardest part about our job is telling people what they don't want to hear. And if we to listen to you and themselves in the future, so please do that.
So true. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, John. And for all the viewers, leaders, here is the wake-up call. The world does not need your titles. The world does not need your suits. All your courage, your humanity. The question isn't whether you will lead. The question is, will anyone be glad that you did? Today is your chance to reset. Please don't miss it. Thank you for joining me on Unbox with SG. And thank you, John Berry, for reminding us that leadership is not about control, it is about connection. To our listeners, every Tuesday we unbox conversations that connect and ideas that disrupt. Follow the journey, reset your leadership, reset your life. And remember, boxes are for storage, not for people. Thank you so much and good night.